So as promised, this video will be based upon infrared light or IR light. Now if you remember, the previous video was based upon UV or ultraviolet light, but this video will be based upon IR or infrared light. Now, as we all know, light is an electromagnetic wave. It's a beam of photons. And infrared light is actually a light of a longer wavelength. Yeah, so there's a huge distance between the crest and the troughs of a wave, so it is a light of a longer wavelength. Now, if you pass a white light through a prism, so it undergoes dispersion, and you'll see the WebGR forming on the other side, and you'll see red light at the top, which means that it has the highest speed and the lowest refractive index, and well, yeah, it has the longest wavelength. So in fact, I have infrared light with me today. So you see, this is infrared light, which is going over here. See, it glows red. So now let's discuss some of the properties of infrared light and its dangers, as well as in the end we'll discuss about the thermal cameras, how do they work, and night vision cameras. So let's go. So talking about the properties of infrared light, well, infrared radiations or light is actually a signature of heat. Yeah. So if something is warm, for example, if water is warm, then what it means is that it's emitting infrared radiations. Now these IR radiations are actually invisible to human eye, so you're not able to see them. But any warm object, even humans, so when we are warm, as we know, humans are warm-blooded animals. So we are creating energy and we are using it to maintain our body temperatures. So yeah, our body is warm as compared to the room temperature. So even humans are also emitting infrared radiations, which are apparently not visible to naked eye. So this is that's why infrared radiations are known as the signature of heat. So just imagine as if this bottle has warm water. So obviously it's emitting infrared radiations, and it's warmer than my own hand. So if I keep this bottle on my hand, well, it's obvious that the water from this bottle is going to transfer heat from the water molecules into my hand. So along with the heat, what's being transferred actually is the infrared radiations. As we know from the second law of thermodynamics, that entropy or the chaos or the disorder among particles keeps on increasing, and this increase in the entropy is spontaneous. Although reverse entropy is possible, but it's not spontaneous. You need to provide some energy for that non-spontaneous process to occur. So it's actually there's a transfer of infrared radiations from the hot water to my hand, and that's how the heat is being transferred. And this is the principle about what the thermal cameras use. So what thermal cameras detect is they detect the infrared radiations being emitted from a human. So if someone is suffering from fever, then obviously his body tends to be more warm, and so his body will emit more and more of infrared radiations, which will be, which the thermal camera will capture, and well, it will detect. However, night vision cameras just detect infrared radiations. They do not detect the intensity of the infrared radiations being emitted by an object. So they are just able to detect that under night that there is an object. However, thermal cameras detect the intensity of the IR radiations being emitted by that object. So we can understand thermal cameras as being a very high level night vision cameras. Well, that's just about infrared radiations, and now let's discuss some of its dangerous properties. So talking about the negative impacts of infrared light, well, they are a lot less than the negative impacts of UV light. So if you check out my previous video on ultraviolet light, I have pretty much covered all the negative impacts of UV light. And those negative impacts of ultraviolet light are a lot more than infrared light. So infrared light mainly acts on your eyes, and long exposures to infrared light can damage the lenses and the cornea of your eyes. It can cause redness of the eye, as well as it can cause swelling in the eye. I also wanted to tell you something, that this property of IR light it's a signature of heat. It warms things up. This property is being used in microwaves. This is how microwaves work. So if you keep something in a microwave, for example a chocolate, and if you switch that microwave on, so what's happening is the microwave is subjecting that chocolate with a lot of infrared radiation, which are a signature of heat. So they increase the temperature due to which the chocolate melts. And this is how microwaves were initially discovered. So there was some person who passed through a high frequency infrared monochromatic source laser light along with a chocolate in his pocket, and well, since infrared light is a signature of heat, it warmed that chocolate and the chocolate melted in his pocket, and that's how microwaves were discovered. It's quite it's a famous story. Now, infrared light, this heat property of infrared light is also causing global warming in our world. Why? This is because of the greenhouse gas effect. Now there are certain gases like methane and carbon dioxide which are being released due to the fuel activities and a lot of industrial work. So these gases settle the troposphere, the topmost portion of the troposphere. So when light from the sun comes to Earth, so all the wavelengths of light are able to pass through the atmosphere of Earth. But when this white light reflects from the surface of Earth, so the infrared light gets trapped up. All the other wavelengths of light, they just escape out, but only the IR light gets trapped, and it just keeps bouncing in the Earth's atmosphere, just like this in the zigzag pattern. And that's how it's able to increase the temperatures in all around the world every year. And that's how we are facing this challenge of global warming every year, due to which the ice is melting fast, the water levels are rising, and yeah, it's a major threat to the human population. So, well, increase in the amount of infrared radiations every year is because of the greenhouse gas effect. So more amount of infrared radiations are able to, jiggle among the Earth's atmosphere, creating more heat every year around the whole world. So I hope you liked it. I hope you learned something. I hope you enjoyed it, and thank you. I'll meet you in the next video. Bye.